Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving deep today into Donald Trump's The Art of the Deal.
Oh, yeah, this one. It's quite a read.
It is part memoir, part business advice, and, well, all Trump.
That voice. It comes through loud and clear, like he's right there with you.
Exactly. So our mission, if you will, is to unpack it all. What makes Trump tick as a deal maker? How'd he get there?
We'll look at his Trump cards, those principles he lays out, see how they really work. Some pretty interesting psychology in there.
Let's jump in. Early on, Trump talks about think big. This fascination with Manhattan real estate, building landmarks, not just buildings.
It's about setting those huge goals, then going after them relentlessly. You see it all through the book, walking away from deals that aren't big enough.
Setting the bar high from the start. Risky, but huge payoff if it works.
He wasn't after small wins, no. He wanted to make a statement. And that's contagious, draws people in, investors, builds momentum, tough to resist. Makes sense. And to build that momentum, he also talks about use your leverage. There's that story about the Grand Hyatt Hotel, the tax abatements he got from the city, basically saying the Commodore Hotel would rot if they didn't play ball.
Classic leverage. He knew the city wanted that area revitalized. Used the Commodore estate as a bargaining chip to get what he wanted for the Hyatt. And to be fair, tax abatements, they're common tools cities use, encouraging investment.
So playing by the rules, but playing them well.
Right. Figuring out what the other side wants, then finding a way to get it for them. On his terms, of course.
Think big, use your leverage. What other Trump cards are we dealing with here?
Fight back. That's a big one. Trump's philosophy.
Yeah.
Never back down. Ever. He seems almost like confrontation. Going to court, no problem.
He even writes, fight back when you are right, even if it means going through hell and back. Pretty strong words.
It's about standing your ground, not getting pushed around. Now, that can have its downsides. We see that in some of the controversies later on.
Right. But for now, let's back up a bit. How do you develop these principles? A lot of the book talks about his early career. His dad, Fred Trump.
Fred, yeah, he was a big influence. A tough, successful housing developer in Brooklyn and Queens. Instilled that work ethic in Donald, gave me a real understanding of the business.
Learning the ropes from managing construction to dealing with tenants. He also talks about learning the importance of presentation, attention to detail.
Yeah, Fred was meticulous about his properties. Believed a well-kept building was a better investment even if it cost more up front. You see that in Donald's own developments, especially in Manhattan. That focus on presentation.
And it wasn't all easy, right? He talks about Swifton Village, his first big project in Cincinnati, a struggling apartment complex that he turned around, showed his financial skills early on.
That one taught him a lot. Managing big projects, getting financing, building the right team. He learned to judge people fast. Strengths, weaknesses, and to make tough calls when someone wasn't cutting it.
So with those experiences, those Trump cards in hand, he sets his sights on Manhattan. That's when things really take off, right?
Manhattan, yeah. Chapter 5, the move to Manhattan. Whole new ball game. He had to learn that market, the regulations, the competition. It's fierce.
And he jumps right in, gets the Grand Hyatt Hotel site, which, as we said, took some leverage, some political maneuvering.
A turning point. He had arrived in Manhattan, showed he could play with the big guys. But his way, it wasn't always the usual way.
Like the Bonwit Teller site, he talks about using a quick letter of intent to, lock it down. What's that all about?
Basically, a preliminary agreement outlines the basics, but not legally binding. It gives the buyer a leg up, though. Shows they're serious, puts pressure on the seller to move forward.
So another form of leverage.
You got it. He knew getting that signed put him in a much stronger spot for negotiating the final deal.
And it worked, even when the seller tried to back out. Trump, he used the media, highlighted that broken promise, put the pressure on through public opinion.
Bold move, but it paid off. Shows how he used the media and how he thought about public image. Very strategic.
So these bold moves, the strategic negotiation, and a bit of, well, let's call it creative pressure, that becomes his style.
Definitely. And it all leads to, well, Trump Tower. His, I guess you could say, signature project.
Yeah, the crown jewel. Solidifies him as the luxury developer.
Right. Trump Tower, it was more than a building. It was a statement. He wanted something spectacular to grab everyone's attention, redefine luxury in Manhattan.
And he did it the Trump way. High-profile buyers, marketing genius, even put his own name on the thing.
It wasn't easy, though. Zoning issues, construction delays. He even had protests from preservationists. But he got through it all, that tenacity and the building. It became a symbol of his success, his ambition.
He also talks about the international buyers coming into New York real estate, even back then. Saw that trend early on, realized the potential there.
He had a good sense for those market trends, and he wasn't afraid to adapt. Appeal to a new kind of buyer. That was key to his success.
It's amazing to see how those early deals, the ups and downs, they laid the groundwork for everything that came after, in business and beyond.
You can see it all there. The ambition, the risk-taking, that knack for shaping public perception. But there are, well, some shadows too.
You mean the controversies?
Yeah. Even in these early chapters, the legal battles, accusations of questionable practices, the constant scrutiny, it follows him.
A reminder that success can come with a price. And the line between brilliance and recklessness, it can get blurry.
It sets up what we'll look at next. Trump's casino empire in Atlantic City. The highs, the lows, what we can learn from it all.
Sounds like we're just getting started, but before we hit the casinos, take a minute. What stands out to you so far about Trump's way of doing business? What resonates? What makes you curious? We'll be right back to continue our deep dive into the art of the deal. All right, so Atlantic City, early 80s. Casinos are booming after they legalized gambling. You'd think Trump would jump right in, but
He's actually pretty cautious at first. Chapter 10, The Art of the Casino, he talks about this. Sees other developers rushing in, hitting all kinds of roadblocks. Licensing, financing, even whispers of mob ties. Trump decides to watch and learn.
so instead of diving in head first, he kind of hangs back, right? Strategic.
Exactly. Gets a great spot on the boardwalk, but doesn't start building right away. Focuses on the casino license first. That was notoriously hard to get in New Jersey.
Makes sense. Gets that license, then he's got the leverage.
Exactly. Use your leverage, right. Knows the game, doesn't want to rush in without the upper hand.
And once he's got it, then it's think big time. The most extravagant casino Atlantic City had ever seen, that's the goal.
No expense spared. The design, the amenities, the marketing, top architects, fancy entertainment, the whole brand, it screams luxury, even gets great financing, using his reputation to secure loans with good rates.
So same principles as his real estate deals, just applied to casinos now.
Absolutely. That attention to detail, creating a spectacle, building buzz, he knew it had to be more than just gambling. A whole experience, an escape, a world of glamour.
But, I mean, even with all that planning, those trump cards, there are still problems, right?
Oh, of course. Big projects like that, there's always something. Legal stuff, regulations, competition from the other casinos. There's even that story in Chapter 14, the week that was. A crane collapses on the parking garage construction.
Yikes. Talk about a stressful week. Shows that no matter how prepared you are, things can go sideways. But, well, he pushes through. Trump Plaza opens, big celebration, his first Atlantic City casino.
A big win, for sure. He's a major player in the casino world now. But I think this is also a turning point. Bigger casinos, bigger stakes, a lot more scrutiny.
And the controversies start. Financial issues, problems with the unions, even those accusations about mob ties, which of course he denied.
Yeah, all those allegations, true or not, they start to paint a picture. A businessman pushing the limits, taking risks, maybe at the expense of others. It's something to think about, right? How far is too far? Ambition versus, well, ethics.
Right. And it's a pattern that, well, continues. But before we get into that, Trump wasn't just about real estate and casinos. He buys the New Jersey Generals, a football team in the USFL.
The USFL, that was a whole other thing. He's got a chapter on it called The Deal. Shows that competitive side of him. Wanting to shake things up. Saw the USFL as like a rival to the NFL.
He even gets some big names to come over from the NFL. Herschel Walker, the Heisman Trophy winner, really going for it.
He wanted to win, of course. But the ultimate goal, it seems, was to force a merger with the NFL. That would have been, well, a huge payday.
But it doesn't work out, right? Clashes with the other owners, legal battles with the NFL, the merger falls apart.
It shows that even the best negotiators, they can't always win, especially going up against the big guys.
Yeah. But even though it was a loss, it kind of solidified his views, I think, on competition, negotiation, that whole fight back mentality.
For sure. And it's almost like a preview of what comes later
Yeah.
in politics, trying to disrupt things, challenge the establishment.
Right? But for now, let's go back to something really key from the art of the deal. Building a strong brand. That's a theme throughout, isn't it?
Absolutely. Trump, he gets the power of his name, his image, that persona he created.
He was the bold deal maker, larger than life, and he used that image in every deal. Master of self-promotion, always in the media.
Love him or hate him, everyone knew who he was.
Yeah.
And that recognition, that brand, it becomes a powerful tool.
It opens doors, attracts investors, gives him influence beyond just his businesses.
Even today, the Trump brand, it's a force in business and in politics.
It's fascinating. Shows how well he understood marketing, public perception. But it also makes you think, how much does personality, image, play into our ideas of success, of leadership?
Big questions. And that leads us to the next part of our deep dive, how those same ideas, branding, negotiation, fighting back, how they play out in his political career.
From the boardroom to the political arena, we'll see how it all connects. Stay tuned, folks. Things are about to get interesting. All right, so we've gone from Manhattan skyscrapers to those Atlantic City casinos. Seen Trump's deal-making in action, the wins, the losses, the controversies. But the big question is, how does this all connect to his political career?
It's fascinating, really. And the art of the deal, it gives us some clues. This book, it wasn't just about business. It was about how he thinks, his values, his goals.
And even back then, let's be real, those goals went way beyond just business. He even talked about running for president in the 80s.
Yeah, he did. Admired strong leaders, thought he could do better than the politicians he saw, and that power of high office, it definitely appealed to him.
Back then, most people probably thought, oh, it's just Trump being Trump. But looking back, it seems like more than just talk.
Yeah. It was there all along. That belief in himself, that drive to leave a mark on the world. And, whether you like him or not, becoming president, that's definitely leaving a mark.
Changed the game, that's for sure. Shook things up. And when you read The Art of the Deal, you can see those same strategies, those tactics, they show up in his politics.
Oh, absolutely. That hyperbole, for example. Exaggerating, making those huge promises.
Classic Trump. And it worked in business and politics. Why do you think that is?
It's simple, but people want simple. They want those big solutions, those grand visions. Someone confident, successful, who says they can fix it all. And Trump, with that, that persona, he projected that.
And he was good at taking complex things, making them into these catchy slogans, make America great again, drain the swamp. They're simple, yeah, but they work. People are tired of the same old political talk.
He knew how to connect with people emotionally, tap into that frustration, but also that hope, that feeling of us versus them. Very powerful.
And don't forget that fighting style, always ready for a fight. Business rivals, politicians, even the media, insults, nicknames, the whole thing.
Straight out of The Art of the Deal. Right. Never back down. It turned some people off, for sure. But for his supporters, it was exciting, unpredictable, kept things interesting.
It's funny, though, those tactics, they might work in business, but in politics, well, they cause some problems, too. All that division, the harsh words, it really polarized things.
It's a double-edged sword. Breaking the rules, doing things differently, that can shake things up. Sometimes good things happen.
Yeah.
But it can also create chaos, distrust.
So what's the lesson here? What can we learn from The Art of the Deal and how it connects to Trump's time in politics?
I think the big takeaway is this book, it wasn't just a business how-to. It was how he sees the world, the blueprint he uses for real estate, casinos, even the presidency.
It shows how powerful personality can be. Image, connecting with people on that gut level. Sometimes that's as important as any strategy or policy. Makes you think about what kind of leaders we want and what the long-term effects are.
Yeah. And it's a good reminder to think critically, look beyond the surface. Even the most successful ways of doing things, they can have downsides.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into The Art of the Deal, here's something to consider. Trump's journey from real estate to the White House, it's a story about ambition, self-belief, challenging the way things are done. But it's also a warning. Those same qualities, they can lead to problems too.
It's a story that's still going, what's the final chapter? We don't know yet. But by understanding his past, how he operates, it helps us understand the world better, the choices we make as individuals, as a country.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it gave you some things to think about. And remember, the conversation keeps going. Keep learning. Keep asking those tough questions. That's what it's all about.